Welcome everyone to the new JFK Show number 280. And Larry has informed us we've got a doozy of a show coming up. And so we're going to go straight to our blog spot right this minute, the new JFK Show. And it's Oswald Passport.
1963. Yeah.
All right, here we go. All right, Dr. Fetzer.
Well, first of all, we spoke about this before, but it's taken on new meaning since we broke out this information recently, because more and more people are realizing that second passport just never materialized and never was never published at all by the Warren Commission. We have the first one there that you're showing there, which is the passport that a young Lee Oswald at 19 years old took out on 10 September 1959 before his fake defection. And it's all there, and we'll talk about it. But the importance of what we're going to talk about here tonight is that we now have the second passport and the significance of what that represents in the life of Lee Oswald and in the entire case of the assassination of John Kennedy.
And primarily because it declares it's not valid for transit to Cuba.
Oh, we're going to find, well, don't give it away, Jim. Come on. It's a long ways from there, so we still, there's a lot of stuff here. But very interesting that if you follow this case and you read the Warren Commission, they had Lee's passport, the first one. And this is so incredible because at such a young age, 19 years old, he's in the Marines. Look how, how muscular and strong he looks, at 19 here, before this fake defection. Well, what do you think about the defection of Lee Oswald?
Oh, yeah, completely fabricated. He denounced his citizenship on a Sunday. The embassy wasn't even open. It had no legal significance. It was a charade.
Right. And then to put him in a small, well, not small, but because it was an industrial town, city, Minsk, where he eventually meets Marina Prusakova, and from there on, it's so incredibly mysterious, this situation, this panorama that happens there in the Soviet Union with Lee Oswald and Marina, and this doesn't, really make any sense, where a defector goes and fetches, a Russian wife and brings her back to the United States with a baby. And very poignant moment that we're going to show here, because we're going to show the page where they added baby June, onto his passport book, and so some very, very interesting stuff that we're going to talk about here tonight.
Excellent. Lee Oswald, 1963 passport found. On 24 June 1963, Lee Oswald visited the passport office in New Orleans to renew his passport number 1733242, which had been issued in 1959 before his fake defection to the USSR. The new passport, DO 92526, had been missing since landing in the hands of the FBI on 26 November 1963, specifically New Orleans Special Agent Warren C. Brueys.
Brueys.
Brueys. It was allegedly and unsuccessfully used in Mexico City to obtain a Cuban visa in the fall of 1963. After Brueys acquired both passports, only the old one, number 1733242, was published by the Warren Commission as Commission Exhibit 946, CE 946.
Yeah. And there's before and after. This is what's so amazing, and we're going to see this as we go through these images, before and after. After Brueys took possession of the passport books, they sort of like degrade, and they get harder and harder to decipher here. Go ahead, Gary.
That's just striking, Gary. Just look at the images themselves.
Yeah.
Compare the
and
above.
it gets worse, and it gets worse.
Yeah.
It gets worse. Go ahead.
The reason we see such a marked difference between these images is that the clear image came from photographs taken by the Dallas Police Department after collecting Lee's belongings at the North Beckley address on 23 November 1963 in a crude but effective manner. Someone held the passports down on a table while another photographed them at close range. Note the tips of the fingers seen in these photographs belonging to the person who held them down to facilitate their processing. Afterward, they lay dormant in Dallas Police Department archives until they were transferred to a Texas history website.
Yeah, look at the difference here. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just seeing the fingers right there at the bottom.
Yeah, and that's what it allowed the DPD to provide these almost pristine images, and then when you compare with, what happened with the passport book after it reached the FBI, and there it is, like, hello,
Larry, this is such a clear demonstration of FBI destroying evidence. My God, this is outrageous. Completely outrageous.
I knew you were going to react like that, Jim.
My God. Larry, what a find.
So this is the Warren Commission version of the canceled passport, okay, 1733242, like you mentioned before. And go ahead and scroll down, and you're going to see the
next two,
same, which is from
the
DPD
repository I mentioned before, and they're like pristine.
Exactly.
How ridiculous.
Can this be?
Oh, but then, Larry, it was only the investigation of the death of a president of the United States. So, I mean, you understand why they would be casual about it.
But what's so incredible here is that the DPD would have the mission here, to photograph this and keep a record, of the and we're going to see in a couple of minutes here, the whole panorama, when I'm talking about, where they went and they collected, all of his possessions and everything, and they were meager, to say the least. But go ahead.
Well, Larry, I just say this is the only virtuous action of the DPD. We're otherwise framing Oswald.
For real. And look at this. And this is, go ahead, because this is one of the most poignant images that I had ever seen. And this is right there at the top. Here is the visa.
Yeah. Here's the visa page that added the newborn daughter, baby June, to his passport in preparation for the family's return to the United States. And there is baby June.
I mean, does that look like the profile of an assassin? Guys coming back from Russia.
Yeah.
Hello.
Good stuff.
Okay, and this is you, Gary, and I stood outside of this house.
We did indeed.
In 2014 on 22 November. Remember, Gary? Say something.
Yeah, we
Gary.
went in there, and that's where.
No, we didn't go inside. We took pictures outside.
Yeah.
No, as mentioned, the passports were found when a search warrant was executed by the Dallas Police Department at 1026 North Beckley on 23 November, where Lee rented a room under the name of O.H. Lee. This is a photograph of Lee's meager possessions at the N. Beckley address. As you say, pathetic.
Yeah, Gary and I
this could be a homeless man, Larry.
Exactly. What do you want? What is your interpretation of that? Now, Gary and I went there, and we went down to the 500 block because we were investigating the trajectory that supposedly Lee took after, the official version that he takes the bus ride, and then he gets out, and he gets in the Whaley's cab, and he goes into Oak Cliff, and he goes past the rooming house, all right, and goes all the way down the 500 block to double back, on
Right.
somebody who didn't have, was living off, meager, income, and we went and we went down there and we walked. Remember, Gary? And we went to the 500 block and we walked and we timed it. It was 8 minutes and something like 42 or 47 seconds or something like that. Just to understand the timeline that was offered by the government and something that we needed to investigate at the time. All right, and this is where the rental property there that he had, and that's a whole different story because that right after the assassinations, this police patrol car came out and honked a couple of times.
Right.
Correct?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And Earlene Roberts, said, hey, and so that sort of also through the whole thing, into, what are they going to do now to explain all this thing, this whole timeline, and then the Texas Theater and the Tippett thing, but I think this is very, very important here because we're talking about these two passports who people might have thought would have been found in Irving at Ruth Payne's garage or
Right. Yes.
wherever he was, storing, over there where his wife was living at the time with Ruth Payne.
This is pathetic, Larry. That a meager amount of possessions.
Look at that.
Go back, Gary. Go back.
This is official. This is official. This is what was at North Beckley. A couple of flip-flops, a couple of pairs of shoes. You got some sunglasses. You got some flashcards. Obviously toiletry kits. Maybe some pajamas. I mean, you're looking at. All right.
Russian flashcards.
What?
This is like a pack. This is like a pack to visit for a couple of days. I mean, this is what you might take on a trip if you're going on a little, a minor vacation or travel.
But I do want to say that I don't think this is here anymore. I really looked hard for it. I think they had an overpass built. So
really,
lucky thing we went. Yep.
Wow, we got pictures too. Go ahead. All right, so there we go. Now
the next two images are the actual invoices, receipts number 11198 and 11199 for both passport books, DO 92526 and 1733242 respectively. They were done in an almost flawless manner at the FBI office in Dallas by the FBI using the Dallas Police Department's form CPS FC 647. The passports are number 446 and 449, entered as in the receipts, which are dated 26 November. The chain of evidence for passport, DO 92526, item 446, ended with Brueys.
Scroll up because you see right there, if you see from the top to bottom, 439, 440, you got 446 on the right, number 446. That is the new passport. And if you go further down, the very first item, 449, that is the old passport. So we have Wanda Brew on 11/26/1963, taking possession of all of these items that are listed, and they include the passports. And this is what was at North Beckley, at 1026 North Beckley. Go ahead, Gary. You can scroll up.
Yeah, good. Further.
Right. And
the new passport, DO 92526, was issued after processing this renewal application on 24 June 1963.
Roll it.
Lee Harvey Oswald.
No, not so much, not so fast. Now this is the same date that Orestes Pena. Can you scroll down, please?
This way?
Yeah, I should be doing this. When Orestes Pena on the same day went and did exactly the same thing to renew his passport, now how can that be such a coincidence that Orestes Pena, the Cuban that from New Orleans, who owned the houses of ill repute there, and who we have spoken so much about him being an informant for Wanda Brew. And on the same day, him and Lee Oswald are in the same office renewing their passports. Is this a coincidence or what? So,
Yeah, very good. Very nice point, Larry. Very nice.
You just cannot avoid it, and it's in the book and everything. But this is the actual form, and this is the color. Go ahead a little further up now. This is Lee, the photograph that was attached to that renewal application. All right.
He looked more physically fit in the earlier passport, Larry.
Well, you're going to see now, because I actually have overlays that you're going to see in a minute.
Very good. Very good. The original passport.
You're going too fast here. You're
Okay, just tell me when to scroll.
No, go ahead. No, you're good. I'm talking about Fetzer.
Oh, okay.
The original passport application stated some very specific countries that he intended to visit with his family. Notice nowhere does it say intended to travel to Mexico or to Cuba. That's pretty striking, Larry.
Well, there it is. Go ahead. And it's on the right-hand side there.
Yeah, there's the countries, right?
Yeah, but I have a close-up view here coming up here. Go ahead.
Good. Okay, good.
There, in red. These are the countries that he intended to travel, and notice that he includes all the information, his wife and everything. So this is, in my view, this is a renewal here where he's going to go and have a good time with his family.
England, France, Germany, Holland, USSR, Finland, Italy, Poland.
Yeah, so that's.
I don't see Cuba or Mexico on that list. They're not even the same continent. Exactly. They're not even the same hemisphere.
Right. Oh, the passport was expeditiously processed and delivered. Yeah. And there
that's a clear sign he's working intel.
And something else. If you go. His occupation in the first one, it said export agent or something like that, and we were thinking about that the other day and say that's kind of odd, because at that time he was a Marine. All right,
he would be called an export agent, for God's sake. What do you expect?
I mean, that right there. Jim, that right there tells you this is an operation.
Yeah, it does, Larry. That he's
because if he is a Marine. And he's going to apply for a passport on 10 September 1959, and he's a Marine, and it says, I'm an export agent, it doesn't jibe, at all to me, and so this is probably that Angleton mentality, but this is, go ahead, Gary, because this is very important. What you're going to show here is, no, keep it centered on the screen, the passport there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time that this passport is shown on any program or blog or program or whatever you want to call it. And you are looking at it right here. This is historic. Okay.
This is the very first time it's been shown publicly. It's been suppressed in the past.
Right. Well, I have it here in the back here, and we talked about it the other day. Here, you're getting, and it's up on my site, and anybody's welcome to copy it and right click and do whatever you want to do with it, but it's not going to change anything that this is the passport that has been suppressed since 1963. Now why? Go ahead, scroll down, Mr.
Yeah, page.
Yeah, now you're talking.
I know, I love it. Page 4 lists of the countries the U.S. State Department forbade travel to. These included China, Korea, Vietnam, Albania, and with a special large rubber stamp that took up almost half the page, Cuba. So how can he be making an escape to Soviet Union by way of Cuba using his passport? Just absurd.
Absurd. Yeah. A theater of the absurd. Remember we talked.
It is. I mean, it just shows how the FBI was so embarrassed because they were making up such bullshit.
Yeah. the stuff that wasn't even legal, you know, and that's why Sylvia Morris, he said, wait a minute, you know, how can he go to Mexico City and say he's going to, you know, and there is a lot more information on that, you know, that right now I can't even start to talk about.
Larry, it really is definitive proof that the whole government story is bullshit. I mean, this is just as solid as sufficient a proof as you could have.
Now you go and go to the National Archives and say, and to go over there and say, you know, I want to see, you know, this passport. It could be, go ahead, because we're going to talk about this in a second. You know, where the passport ended up and why. Wait.
Yeah. Finally, the portraits of both passports are a perfect match. This 50% overlay proves that Lee Oswald, at 19 years of age, was issued passport 1733242 on 10 September 1959. And Lee Oswald, at 23, 4 years later, was issued passport DO 92526 on 25 June 1963. Moreover, a study of both signatures reveals a perfect match.
Can you scroll up? Yeah, I'm just gonna.
I like this.
This is 4 years difference. All right, 59 and 63. Now, I talked about before, you know, the physique of Lee Oswald at the time versus, you know, from 59 to 63. Therefore, you see, you know, the difference here in the shoulder area. Plus,
that's a substantial difference, Larry.
Plus, he's wearing a suit.
Right.
All right. So you have those two things, because they're probably going to say the first thing they say, oh, wait a minute, you said Roscoe and this and that. Remember the distance, but that's the thing here. But when you do the interpupillary distance and you set everything here, one on top of the other, this is a perfect match. All right. Perfect.
Yes.
And it doesn't get any better than this. Yeah. Now look at
the same guy, one and the same guy 4 years apart.
Exactly. Now look at the signatures, and I want to focus on the Oswald and look at the O, and look at it. Yeah, the O is separate from the rest. So, you know, he does the O and then the, you know, SWALD, you know, and the same signature 4 years apart. All right.
Yeah.
If I were to go to a signature, a calligraphist, calligrapher, calligrapher, expert, and that person would probably say these are one and the same signatures. There's no problem.
Yes. The question that begs to be answered is why passport DO 92526, suppressed by the Warren Commission and all detectives' derivatives that followed. Had it not been for the Dallas Police Department, we would have never known that the photos existed of both passports. This opens up a new area for investigation. If the original passport, DO 92526, were to surface, it would tell us if Lee used it, perhaps on a special assignment out of the U.S., heretofore unknown. This information would have been stamped on the visa pages of the passport book. Hopefully, these images can help researchers unravel an already complicated scenario.
Now, why do I mention that? If you read Judy Baker's book, and I know it's hard to assign any, you know, she writes about the incident where Lee went with David Ferry to Canada, and they flew all the way, I believe Montreal or something like that, across the U.S. You know, so maybe Lee might have needed that passport, you know, for that operation or whatever. I'm just, you know, throwing darts, you know, but you know that passport from the date that it was issued, 25 June. Until I don't know, maybe beginning of November, you know, if it was used in any manner where Lee had to, you know, fulfill some kind of assignment or something like that.
Does Judy's aggressive promotion of the thesis that Lee actually went to Mexico City, which you have so thoroughly debunked, not indicate that there's something fishy about Judy?
That's why it's hard, you know, to you know,
I
It's-
find her credible in every area except this one.
it's
Yeah, but that's what I said to her, remember, on one of
I
our
know,
shows. And
I
she
know, I
just
know,
threw a
I
fit.
know.
She just threw a fit. I said,
I know.
Judy, I believe everything you tell me except that Lee did not. I do not believe Lee went to Mexico. And she just
And
threw
if
a
you
fit.
read, and if you read the book Conspiracy by Anthony Summers, he has an incident where he went to Mexico City and he confronted Sylvia Duran with a video of Lee, the one when he was that recording of him at what was the local station, and he's talking about Marxism here and Ghana and socialized medicine in UK, in the UK and other countries in Canada, and he showed her that video, and Silva Duran became so shocked because she said, that is not the guy that interacted with me at the consulate. That is not the guy.
Right.
And when she heard Lee talking about these topics, she said, that guy talks with uncanny ability and uncanny, aplomb and everything. So not the guy that I met who was short, blonde, obnoxious. He had this appearance to him that he was, he had, lived like a tough life, and that kind of thing. And so not the same guy, of course.
But he was insistent that he was Lee Oswald.
Because he went and then Ambassador.
I mean, he was asserting that he was Lee Oswald when he clearly was not.
Right, and that was confirmed by the consulate, Asquith, and he said exactly the same thing. It's the same guy. And that's not the guy that I saw arrested in Dallas, and that's not the guy that I saw murdered, in Dallas that morning. So there you go.
Yeah.
What else?
Great stuff, Larry. Great stuff. Great stuff.
Are we done here, Gary? We did the whole thing. Okay, yeah,
we did the whole thing.
Yeah. So we're going back to this thing about the passport, the second passport, which attains.
You want to go back to the images?
Which attains a new significance, of course. Scroll up. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Right here.
This is so important. I cannot.
Do they have the other pages, Larry?
That is exactly what I'm talking about at the end. I said, the visa pages that are missing, would have told us if Lee went out of the country during those months between June and probably October, and where, this whole thing is in flux. All right. And there it is. Okay. And scroll up a little, and this is this is the most damning thing.
Right there. I love it. That's why the Brueys just freaked out. And I mean, it was like he dunked the passports in water or coated them with ink.
We got to deep six this one because, they're never going to believe that Mexico City going to Cuba story, Exactly. I agree.
I mean, go back up to where you see how much he had obfuscated the content there. Further. There.
Who did that? Was that the Brueys or was that? That's an excellent point.
It had to be the Brueys. Go up. Yeah.
No. And then who in the Warren Commission decides which passport to publish, one or both or none or one? Who is the one who made that decision?
Oh, Rankin, almost certainly. This is such a crucial piece of evidence.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You
had to go right to the
best.
Yeah. That actually is such an interesting photograph. The more you comment on it, stimulates my thinking. You're absolutely right.
I'm telling you, somebody went down, and decided, that we had to obfuscate this information here, and they did. They never thought that somebody at the DPD would do their job.
Would have done that. Yeah.
The serendipity of this is incredible.
It is, Larry. How did you find it?
I know. That's what everybody asks. This one is, I love this one. This is just
Baby June.
Touches my soul here, just incredible. This humanizes Lee Oswald, Jim.
Yes. So does Judah's story, by the way. That's, I think, the most important aspect of it.
Well, she has a beautiful wife. You have to admit she was beautiful.
Yeah. So,
but Larry, did you answer how did you find the passport? How did you discover?
Give it all away.
I was looking at the Texas Historical website, and that's where the DPD documents landed, actually. And I just started to work, and there are a ton of documents there, and I just
Larry, there may be other gold nuggets in there.
I've combed just about everything, and this is you're right, you got to keep investigating.
Well, this is equivalent to finding the largest diamond yet the world has ever known.
I don't know about that, but it gives us a better.
Larry, it is so telling. It is so telling.
It is.
You can't have gone to Cuba on a passport that doesn't allow you to travel to Cuba. I mean, QED.
And it also opens up another line of, did Sylvia Duran know about this, or was she supposed to know? Did she play along? Was she part of this whole operation? That's what
I don't know. Look, she's been candid about the difference between the guys in terms of physical appearance, behavior.
Yeah.
I think she's an honest broker.
And not only that, don't forget that we have put out her personal statement, remember, in her own words, 3 or 4 years ago, and we have, and what her interpretation, what she went through, which is nothing like what the government has.
Right, and she was a proper young woman, and the idea that she would have this affair with Lee, kind of casually, meet him one day, sleep with him that night, how ridiculous can you? She was really offended by that.
Yeah. And so, the beat goes on. People think, there's nothing in them files,
Hats off to you, Larry. We really are impressed. We love it. We love it.
Right.
We love it.
Guess we'll call it on that one to get this one out.
And we got one in Memphis, and we got one in Memphis coming April 13 to 15. It's up on Facebook. It's up on the JFK Historical Group and Project JFK. And if you are able and whatever, join us, and it's going to be very, very informative. In fact, this time they're going to have a presentation on Medgar Evers.
And what's the location?
Very much overdue.
Yeah, what's the location again?
It's in Memphis,
Tennessee.
You heard of that? You heard of that place?
At the Crown.
Have you heard of that place lately?
I know, at the Crown Plaza. Trust me.
Yeah. All right, fellas. Looks like a good show. You want to call it on that?
Yes.
Great work, Larry. Great work.
All right. JFK number 280. Appreciate you again, fellas. We'll see you next time.